Kia ora te whānau, I'm Will.
And I'm Justin.
And today we've got a Yoga Foundations video for you. So Justin and I both love teaching and sharing yoga with those who are newer to yoga, as well as those who have some experience as well. And so that's exactly what this video is. We're going to break down some of our foundational yoga poses that you'll see in many classes or practices, spend a little bit of time focusing on technique, but also allow you to just play and explore in your own body. So if you've got a mat, you can roll it out. If you don't, no drama, just find a spot and let's get started. Let's start by coming down onto our backs. You could be in a hook lying position with Justin, knees bent, soles of the feet flat, or maybe take the legs long. That feels better for you today. Take any wriggles or movements here to make yourself comfortable. And just surrender your weight down into the ground. And as you allow the body to be heavy, let's connect into our breath. Breathing in and out through the nose. Getting a little curious. Notice where you feel the sensations on the inhale and the exhale. What do you feel? And where do you feel it? A yoga practice isn't simply about the poses, the asana, the shapes. It's also about how we practice. And our breath is an amazing tool to help bring us into the present moment throughout our practice. And a tool to explore the variety of shapes we find ourselves in. Let's take one final breath here. Big inhale through the nose. And side out through the mouth. If the eyes are closed, you can flutter them open. We can hug the knees into the chest. Just take a little rock side to side, or forward and back. Listening into how your body feels and what it needs from today. Now, some of us may prefer to stay here, drawing the knees towards the shoulders. Others may want to explore a Nanda Balasana or a happy baby. So to start, we want to take the soles of the feet up to the sky, like we were going to walk on the ceiling. Allow the hips, shoulders and head to remain heavy onto the mat. I like to start by grabbing the backs of the legs and then gently drawing those knees in towards the shoulders. Now some of you may stay here with Justin with the hands on the backs of the legs. Others may want to grab ankles, outsides of feet, or even peace fingers around the big toes. What feels good for you today? And then from here, we want to draw the shoulders and tailbone down onto the mat. Sometimes in classes, I'll see people really curled up here to try and find that shape. Where can you find a bit of ease? Even if that means taking the knees further away and placing your hands on the legs. Maybe you take a few rocks side to side, bringing some movement into your baby. You may like to extend one leg, straightening, bending, straightening the other leg. And then we'll take the knees towards each other. Grab the backs of the legs if you're not already. A few rock and rolls up and down your mat. Really rounding the back, allowing each part to make contact, smoothing out your roll. And I always get a few crunchies through the back. Something's releasing. And then when you're ready, let's find our tabletop. So we're going to bring the knees below the hips, hands below shoulders, spreading the fingers wide. No Yoga Foundations class would be complete without cat-cow, one of our go-to poses or sequences in our yoga practice to bring movement into the spine. So often at tabletop, we start with the knees below the hips, hands below the shoulders. If the wrists don't love this position here, you're welcome to step them forward a little more just to decrease that angle, or even elevate the hands on blocks, books, or anything you've got at home. Finding a neutral spine, reaching through the crown and the tailbone. Inhale here. Exhale to cat pose. Press the ground away. Tuck the chin and tailbone. Inhale, look forward, stretching the belly to the ground as you arch the back. Exhale back into your cat pose. Few rounds here, moving, exploring with your breath. So as we press the ground away, feel those shoulder blades separate, pressing upper back to the sky. And then as you look forward, draw the shoulders away from the ears and gently squeeze the shoulder blades behind you to open the chest. Maybe one more cycle in your own time. And then let's reset to that neutral spine here. We're going to find some circles through the hips. So lifting the right knee, pressing through the hands, start to circle that knee in one direction. And sometimes less is more. So if you feel you're trying to create big circles, the shoulders, the body's moving, make the circles a little smaller so that you can control and articulate the movement. Reverse directions when you're ready. Can you keep the breath smooth? Steady inhale and steady exhale. Beautiful. Plant the knee down. To give the wrist a little bit of a break, you can sit back on the heels. If this doesn't work for you, you can always come up onto the knees. And then we're just going to give the wrist a little roll one way. We'll go the other way. Give the hands a little bit of a shake. And come back down to your tabletop. How are your wrists feeling today, Justin?
Feeling pretty good, actually.
Good. All right, let's take it to the other side. Left knee lifts, and we find our circles here. And I always think when we do something on either side, it really gives us an opportunity to check in with our body and notice maybe if it feels more spacious, smoother on one side, maybe more challenging, or that the range is a little less. Reverse directions when you're ready. It's not there to create a criticism, but just to bring awareness in and to notice. Eventually, touch the knee down. We're going to make our way onto our belly. Come all the way down any way you like. Belly flops are allowed and encouraged. So we're going to play with our baby cobra, which is a back bend pose that we'll often use as part of our vinyasa, or a sequence we'll be having a look at a little bit later across our practice. So from here, we want to take the feet towards each other. So squeezing the legs together, inner thighs engage. Hands rest beside the ribs here. Roll the shoulders down and back. Hips press into the earth, big squeeze of the glutes. As you inhale, lift the chest, shining forward, and then exhale, lower back down. We're going to do two more. Inhale here, reach those elbows back, squeezing the shoulder blades again. Exhale to lower down with control. One final time. Inhale, lifting up. Hold for the exhale. Maybe you challenge the strength of your back by floating the hands. Taking an inhale here, press through the hips, press through the feet. Exhale, hands come beside the ribs. Tuck the toes, big push up to our tabletop. Let's play with another classic yoga pose, downward facing dog. From my tabletop, I like to take my hands about a handprint in front of me, and I want to spread the fingers wide, turning the index fingers towards the front of the room. This is going to open the shoulders. Some instructors may cue middle finger. You'll practice your shoulders, see what feels good for you. When you're ready, tuck the toes, hips go up and back, finding that beautiful stretch through shoulders, through chest, and through the back body. Hands are going to be shoulder width apart or a little wider. Wider can create more spaciousness. Feet are about hip width apart. And don't be afraid to bend your knees. So many times I'll see people think they have to keep the legs straight, and then their back really rounds and they lose that beautiful length we're trying to cultivate. So maybe you even give a go bending the knees a lot and think about taking your lower abdominals towards the thighs as you press the ground away. Then from here, if you want to pedal it out, you can draw one heel towards the ground, alternating to the other side, and just see how that feels today. Active hands, claw into the mat. And to start to bring a little bit more strength in, we're going to roll forward into a plank, bringing the shoulders over the wrists, nice strong core, and then back to downward facing dog, hips go high. Let's give this a go, two more times. Inhale, rock forward into your plank. Exhale, lift up and back. One final time, inhale here. Exhale, hips high. Let's walk to the front of our mats. There's many different ways you can travel. I like a good old tippy toe, just taking small steps, embracing that journey as we travel to the top of our mat and find our forward fold. Again, different bodies, different shapes. Maybe taking the feet hip width or even a little wider feels good for you today. Or maybe the feet are a little closer. In your forward fold, again, knees can bend generously. We sometimes have these rules. My legs have to be straight. They absolutely don't. So maybe you play with softening your knees or bending them, allowing the abdominals to rest either on or in between the thighs. Can you focus on the back of the neck and see if you can fully release the weight of your head so that you could gently shake it side to side, or if you add in any little movements, it's going to move and be relaxed. So many times I'll cue this in a class and I'll see people's necks looking up. So much tension here. The neck is used to doing a lot of work holding up that head. So let's give it a break by fully releasing, thinking crown towards the floor. And then gentle tuck of the chin, press through the feet. We're just going to slowly roll up vertebrae by vertebrae. And then when we arrive, give the shoulders a nice big roll one way. And then we'll roll the shoulders the other way. So we're going to start to add a little bit of a flow into our sequence. Often when we talk about flow, we call this vinyasa style yoga, where we move with the breath. So we'll add a few elements here, though as we're still going to be playing with some of the foundations of the poses, we may stop and breathe along the way, as well as flow with the poses and the breath. So finding our mountain pose or Tadasana, again options, maybe feet under the hips, or maybe feet together with a little gap between the heels. We want to open our palms for our mountain pose and then release the shoulders down and away from the ears here. So a mountain pose is grounded. There's an element of readiness in the pose, but also a softness. So we don't want to be militant standing where everything is tense. Where can you soften? Maybe shoulders, maybe jaw. And I often like to add a micro bend into the knees and press the feet down into the ground to start activating some of the leg muscles. Again, if I lock everything out, I get really tense. You can even hear that, right? My breath, when I do this, gets more constricted. So where can we bring in ease? Where can we bring in softness? Let's add a little flow. Inhale, hands reach the sky, palms face. They could touch or stay wide, your choice. Exhale, dive into your forward fold, remembering to release the crown. Slide the hands up to the shins. Inhale to a flat back. Hold here for the exhale. This is another great shape that we often rush through in our practice. We want to try and flatten that back here. So hands can press into the shins, a little squeeze under the armpits to lengthen through the neck. One more inhale. And then exhale, release and fold. Hands to the floor. Step the left foot back and lower the knee to the ground. We're going to add a twisted lunge. So stack the right knee above the ankle. Now for some of us, this may not feel super comfortable here, this tight through the hip or compressing the belly. So you can either come up to fingertips or always use a block or a book to elevate that left hand. Toe tucked or untucked, your choice. Next inhale, right hand reaches to sky. Opening the chest, hold for the exhale. Inhale, reach a little taller. And then exhale, floating the hands down. Tuck the left toes, lift the knee, step forward and find your forward fold. Hands slide up to the shins. Inhale, half forward fold or Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale to release and fold into Uttanasana. We're coming all the way up. Press through the feet. Big inhale, rise. Reach for the sky. And then exhale back into your mountain pose. Let's keep flowing with the breath. Inhale, reach a little taller, gaze to sky. Exhale, swan dive down into your forward fold. Hands to shins, inhale to flat back. Exhale to fold. Hands to floor, right foot steps back, lower the knee. We're going to twist to the back, so right hand down on the floor or a block. Inhale, left hand to sky. Hold for the exhale. Press into the floor or your block. Reach the hand a little taller. Inhale. Exhale. Hand comes down. Tuck the toes. Lift the right knee. Step forward. Find your forward fold. Hands to shins. Inhale. Flat back. Exhale. Fold. Let's come all the way up. Inhale. Sweep for the sky. Ground into your mountain. Exhale. Feel free to give it a little shake. Notice how you're feeling as we start to move a little bit more dynamically. I don't know about you, Justin, but I did legs this morning, so I am acutely aware of where everything is working. Maybe you're feeling some things too.
I did lower back and glutes, so I'm feeling the forward folds more than anything.
Right, that's the thing about a practice. Different habits, so we're going to feel different things on different days. Now we're going to flow through what we call Surya Namaskara A, or a sun salutation A. Really common sequence we may do towards the beginning of a practice as we really engage and warm up the entire body, bring a bit of strength and heat into our practice. So we're going to break it down, exploring a sequence called our vinyasa. Confusing, we talk about a practice being a vinyasa, moving with the breath, and then there's a specific sequence of poses we also call a vinyasa. So you'll get it by the end. Here we go. Palms open to the front, roll the shoulders down and back. Exhale to ground into your mountain. Inhale, hands reach to sky. Exhale, dive into that forward fold. Relax the crown to the floor, hands to shins. Inhale to your flat back. Feet press actively down. Exhale to fold. Here we go. We change it up. Hands to the floor. Step back to find your plank. This is where our vinyasa starts. Now, often I like to lower the knees down. Spiral the elbow creases to the front of the room. And we're going to lower all the way down to our belly with control, keeping the elbows close towards the ribs. The toes are tucked, untuck them. Let's return to that baby cobra. Squeeze the butt. Inhale, lift the chest. Elbows reach behind. Exhale to lower down. Tuck the toes, hands beside the ribs, strong push up into our tabletop, and then take it to our downward facing dog. Hips go high. Remember, knees can bend generously, thinking lower abdominals or belly towards the thighs, and the head rests with the ears between the biceps. Look between your hands, come high on the balls of the feet. You can tippy toe with Justin as we did before, or maybe you step one foot up to the front of your mat and then the other to find your forward fold. Hands to shins, inhale, flat back. Exhale to fold. Let's come all the way up. Inhale, hands reach the sky. Exhale, floating the hands down to find mountain. There we go, that's our sun salutation A. We're going to add some extra options to explore in your vinyasa, though you can stay with Justin with the knees down in your plank and continue to grow on what we worked through in our first round. Here we go, mountain pose, hold for the exhale. Inhale, big reach to the sky. Exhale, dive into your forward fold. Hands to shins, inhale, flat back. Exhale to fold, hands to earth, step back into your plank. Now you can lower the knees or stay high on the balls of your feet. We'll also spiral the elbow creases. This is going to keep the arms a little closer, maybe rocking slightly forward and then lower all the way down. We call this Chaturanga Dandasana. Untuck the toes, squeeze the glutes, maybe baby cobra. Inhale, lift the chest here. Hold for the exhale. Before we flow, we're going to stay here. So baby cobra, we're generally using the strength of our back to lift. If you want to take your cobra a little higher, you can play with us. We want that same foundation. Feet press into the floor, squeezing the glutes, hips driving down into the ground. Stay light on the hands. Lift up just a little. Hold for the exhale. Now, instead of pushing the ground away to lift, can you think of pulling the ground towards you? So we pull, engaging the back body to maybe find a little bit more lift here. And as we pull, we want to squeeze the shoulder blades, open the chest. In our cobra, generally we're looking for bent arms. If we're up here with the arms straight, often the shoulders are going to roll forward. We're also putting a lot of pressure on the lower back. So for most of us, bending the elbows and pulling the ground is going to keep us more active and engaged in this higher back bend. One more inhale. Exhale. Come on down. Tuck the toes. You can either push up to tabletop or maybe you push up to plank and then send the hips high, downward facing dog. Look between the hands, tippy toe, or take a big step to the front of your mat. Find your forward fold. Inhale to flat back, hands to shins. Exhale to fold. Let's come all the way up. Inhale, make this the tallest you've reached all day. And then exhale, float the hands down. Give it a little shake. I'm already feeling the heat. Just a few sun salutations in. It's also 35 degrees here in Melbourne. And I think, Justin, you're getting those sweats on.
I am. Embarrassingly so.
Not at all. We're going to flow through our sun salutation one more time, and I'm going to give you a little extra option to explore in that vinyasa. Let's find our mountain pose. Open the palms. Inhale, hands reach the sky. Exhale, dive into your forward fold. Inhale to that flat back. Exhale, release and fold. Here we go. Stepping back to your plank on toes or knees, it's your choice. Now you can either lower all the way down or lower halfway. This is actually that pose, Chaturanga Dandasana or four-limb staff pose. So as we lower down, elbows stay close to the ribs. We press the ground away and separate the shoulder blades. And if you can see, I'm shaking. This is a challenging pose. So I don't expect you to hold this for long. Maybe you go to baby cobra or untuck the toes. We find what we call up dog here. Now notice, the arms are straight here. The difference is now my thighs are lifted. I'm pressing the feet into the floor, squeezing the hips. So I'm actually moving into less of a back bend than if I was just dumping the hips down. Wherever you are, one more inhale, open the heart. Exhale, hips go high, untuck the toes as you find downward facing dog. 3 breaths in your down dog. Send the hips high. Inhale here. Exhale, draw the chest a little closer to your thighs. Maybe you're playing with drawing those heels a little closer towards the ground without losing that nice, flat, long spine. Look between the hands. Take a journey to the front of your mat and find your forward fold. Hands to shins. Inhale, flat back. Exhale to fold. Come all the way up. Inhale, hands to sky. Exhale, hands come down to the side. Give it a shake. So in our yoga practice, you'll see that there are elements of repetition. And so when we're newer to yoga, often everything feels new. But when we start going to more and more classes or doing practices online, over time you'll see things that are repeated over and over. And those elements become more familiar over time, and it can create a little more ease in the practice. But in the beginning, everything feels new. So just enjoy that freshness, and know that over time, things not necessarily get easier, but more familiar. So we're going to leave our sun salutation. I'm just going to add a couple of our typical standing poses that we do in many of our yoga classes into a little bit of a flow. Let's return to our mountain pose, Tadasana. Shoulders relaxed, maybe soft knees, reaching through the crown and softening into the floor. Inhale, hands reach the sky. Exhale, dive into your forward fold. Hands to shins. Inhale, flat back. Exhale to fold. New move here. So fingertips or hands can come to the floor for support. Step the right foot, big step, long, long, long behind you. Drop that heel in. So the feet are now on 90 degrees. Turn the toes to the side. We're going to cartwheel the hands open and find what we call warrior 2. So a few little alignment points to notice, and I'm going to demo on Justin here. We want this left leg here is going to be bent, and we like to stack the knee over the ankle here. His other leg is straight and strong, and he's pressing through this outer edge of the foot here. So we've got a really grounded, strong foundation. That's why we call it warrior. The arms reach wide at shoulder height, but again, a little softness in the shoulders as well. The last thing is we want to stay aligned here. Sometimes in our warrior, we'll see people that are either leaning forward or leaning back. We want to bring our weight over the middle of our stance here. And especially if we're not used to this shape, this amount of time here alone may feel challenging. Even if we're familiar with it, Justin's already sweating.
The sweat is on.
The sweat is on. You can take your stance shorter. Nothing wrong with that. And then over time, maybe we're working that thigh a little more parallel to the ground. In your own time, we're going to step that right foot up to the front of your mat. Inhale, hands to sky. And then exhale, float the hands down. Give it a shake. Now, I didn't hold that for that long, so I'm feeling a little more fresh. But let's do it on the other side, and I'm going to stay in there with you. So, finding our mountain, we'll flow into our sequence. We love our flow and our vinyasa practices. Inhale, hands reach the sky. Exhale, dive into the forward fold. hands to shins. Inhale, flat back. Exhale to fold. Other side, left foot, big step back, long, long, long. Draw the heel in. Cartwheel the hands open. Bring a little bit of the drama. Inhale. And then exhale, sink into that warrior. Remember our alignment cues. Aiming for knee roughly above the ankles. They don't have to be perfect. Left leg is straight and strong. So I'm pressing this knee crease away to activate the quads. Arms reach wide and sinking in. If you feel like this front knee is maybe tracking across the mat, kind of common for this knee to want to sort of track in, maybe play with heel toeing your foot and finding a broader stance or a narrower stance until that position where you can open this knee. And a big squeeze of the butt helps. So I'm squeezing to open those thighs as I reach. Should we stay for a breath? One more inhale. Exhale. I'm going to see if I've got a little more space. Sink lower into my warrior. Oh, there it goes. Pivot on the back foot. Step in. Inhale. Hands to sky. And exhale, release. Our warrior two, strong sequence, building strength in our legs, and a foundation for some of our other shapes, which we'll flow into now. Let's find our mountain, feet together or hip width apart. Palms open, shoulders down and back. Inhale, hands to sky. Exhale, dive into that forward fold. Hands to shins, inhale, flat back. Exhale to fold, right foot, big step back. Drop the heel towards the middle of your mat, 90 degrees with the feet. Inhale to cartwheel, open the hand. Exhale, sink into that warrior foundation we talked about. Now let's stay low in the hips. Everything from the hips down is going to stay where it's at. We're going to flip the palm. We call this peaceful, or sometimes talk about reversing our warrior. So we reach the left hand up to the sky. Opposite hand can rest on that back leg. Maybe you stay here reaching from the hip to the hand, or you start reaching behind, C-shaping the spine. Beautiful side bend to open up through those obliques, those side abs, those lats, those big muscles that come down our back. Inhale here, stay low in those legs. Exhale, extended side angle. So forearm to thigh is a great option here. And then we're reaching the right hand to the sky. Now, I love yoga from Adrienne has a little trick where she takes this top hand to those lower ribs and then gently uses that hand to draw those ribs under the gap and then open, reaching for the sky, squeezing the hips, opening chest and hips without flaring the back. I don't want to flare the ribs. Draw the ribs in so I'm contained, shoulders stacked. Maybe you also reach towards the front of the room with the palm down is an option to try and create a long line from the foot all the way to the fingertips. You had enough time here, Justin?
Oh, I'm good, yeah.
Inhale here. Exhale, let's bring in a vinyasa. Pivot on the back foot. Hands frame that front foot, runner's lunge. We step back to find your plank on your toes or knees. Now you can skip this any class you take. Or inhale here. Exhale, lower all the way or halfway in that chaturanga. Untuck the toes, baby cobra with Justin, or maybe try up dog. Thighs lifted, we all squeeze the glutes. Hips go high, downward facing dog. Take that journey to the front of your mat. Find your forward fold. Hands to shins, inhale, flat back. Exhale, release and fold. Inhale, come all the way up, hands to sky. Exhale into your mountain. Let's keep flowing. Inhale. Last time here, exhale, dive forward, Uttanasana, forward fold. Hands to shins, inhale, flat back. Exhale, release and fold. Step the left foot back, big step back. Drop the heel in. Cartwheel the hands open, warrior two, or what we call Virabhadrasana. Sink nice and low into the hips. Big squeeze of the butt. Flip the palm. Inhale, reverse, maybe fingers to sky. Holding for the exhale, or reaching to the wall behind you. And someone in class asked, is this a back bend or a side bend? We've got the chest square to the back of the room, so it is indeed a side bend. One more inhale. Exhale, extended side angle. Stay low in those hips. Take that right forearm to the thigh, and you can reach to the sky, or with Justin and I, grab that hand, use it to draw those right ribs through the gaps, and then open and extend. Shoulders down and back, strong foundation. Inhale here. Exhale, pivot on those back toes. Hands frame the foot. Last vinyasa, step back to find your plank. Maybe inhale to rock forward. Exhale, lower with control. Hips and chest go at the same time. Baby cobra or up dog. Inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog, or what we call Adho Mukha Svanasana in Sanskrit. One more inhale. Exhale, slowly lower the knees to the ground. Let's find a good old yoga classic, another one that most people know, even if they've never done a yoga class, child's pose. Big toes together, knees wide is a great place to start, though it's not the only option. And then we just want to walk the hands out and melt the body down towards the ground. Now for some of us, this may feel quite comfortable with the forehead resting on the ground. Again, like our down dog, taking the arms wider will feel a little more spacious in the shoulders. Others of us may want to bring the ground a little closer to us. So you can either stack the palms with the elbows wide or use the hands to fists to rest the head, forming a little pillow so you can find ease in this shape, Balasana, child's pose. If it feels like a lot of work to hold this shape, maybe find another version. You can even place a pillow or a cushion between the heels and the hips. And if you're just like, well, this does not feel good in my body, can you find that same shape? But come onto your back, knees wide, and then just draw the knees towards the shoulder here. Few breaths. In and out through the nose. The heart rate may have started to increase. With more dynamic movements, we want to slow things down. And if you're in your child's pose, you're going to ease your way out of your child's pose, and we're all going to come down onto our mat. So, let's lie down, coming down onto the back, and we'll hug those knees in where we started. We're just going to find a little supine twist, or a twist on our back to help to wring everything out through the spine. So I like to take my feet down onto my mat. I'm going to shift my hips over towards the left side of my mat. Doesn't have to be too far. Hands reach nice and wide in a big T. I like palms to the sky to open through the chest, but your choice. We're going to lift the knees and fold them over to the right side here, grounding down through your shoulder blades. So maybe slightly active as I press through the backs of my hands and my arms to open my chest, and especially that left shoulder blade, try and get that down towards the ground. Lastly, maybe you look down that left arm to bring the stretch all the way into the neck. And there's so many options and variations here. You can take the right hand to the left knee, using it for a bit of gentle assistance. Not interested in talking ourselves into pretzels here. We want to use the breath and the shape to explore versus trying to use brute force to make something happen. Let's come back through center. I'll take the soles of my feet flat on the ground so I can lift my hips and gently shift them to the right side of my mat. Again, hands go wide, lifting the knees and then folding both knees over to the left here. Right shoulder blade grounds down and maybe looking down that right arm. Quite common for our yoga practices to start with a little stillness, maybe connection to breath, start to move into more dynamic movement, standing postures, and then finish with a little bit more ease. So it's kind of got a nice narrative, a nice arc to our practice. Coming back through center when you're ready. And here we often take time at the end of our yoga practice for what we call Savasana. Now Savasana means corpse pose, signals the end of our practice, and then creating space for something new after our practice. So a typical Savasana, we take the legs long, feet a little wider than the hips, arms away from the body, just so we've got less sensation, less information vying for our attention, palms open to the sky. Now this is the base shape. Some people may prefer to have their hands resting chest or belly. It can feel quite nice to feel held or supported by yourself. Others may prefer to take the soles of the feet flat on the ground, maybe feet go a little wider than hips, allow the knees to collapse inwards, especially if the lower back feels sensitive in your Savasana here. There is no right or wrong. We just want to find a comfortable shape where we can spend a few moments. Again, allowing the body to melt into the floor. Inviting any tension we've built up in our practice or in our day to let go. You might soften the gaze on a spot on the ceiling or allow the eyes to close. Again, we're just removing some of that extra stimulus so we can find a little more maybe stillness, a little more ease, maybe even a few moments of calm. You're welcome to stay here for as long as you'd like. You could even set a timer, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, spoil yourself, 10 minutes. And whenever you feel ready, you can gently ease out of the shape and move into the rest of your day. Mate wa whānau. We hope you enjoyed this Yoga Foundations video. If you did, please like and subscribe to get more content like this. And if there's something specific you'd like us to focus on, let us know in the comments whether that's a particular pose or transition you would like us to break down and include in one of our future videos.